All right, there we go. We are live. I can give the prayer if you guys would like.
Okay.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that we're able to meet as a group at this time and that we're able to discuss this case. We ask you that we will have thy spirit with us and that we will be able to learn from one another. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to receive our education, and we're grateful for the many blessings that thou always gives unto us. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And I can do the spiritual thought if you want. It's kind of a personal experience from yesterday. Usually on Saturday mornings, I get up and I go do initiatories when the temple first opens, but I elected to go do it yesterday for some reason. And I ran into this lady who, um, she was performing, I don't know exactly what is it. She was performing the ceremonies and the initiatories, but she asked me, she said, thanks for coming. And I said, yeah, Friday night's usually my date night with Jesus because I'm single. And she starts laughing and she's like, man, I wish my daughter would do that. And so we ended up talking for like 20 minutes afterward about how her daughter's struggling with, trying to find her place in life and things. And I was telling her about my struggle when I went through going away from the church and coming back. And she was like, I feel like we were really supposed to meet and that you were going to give me hope for my daughter to be able to find her place. So I felt like that was kind of a push for me to go yesterday, even though I had really no desire to go. But for some reason, my car just went there. So,
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, good story. I hope something good comes out of that. That's cool.
I hope it does too. Well, it lifted my spirits because I was kind of bah humbug yesterday. And I know that's a Christmas term, but I was really bah humbug yesterday. So.
For sure.
Okay. I don't have the questions open yet because my internet is being very slow at the moment. So if someone wants to start, that would be awesome. And I will work on getting
I
it
got it. I have
open.
it up. So after the spiritual thought opening prayer, it says, "Vote as a group. Should Doug accept the turn offer? Yes or no?"
I voted no.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I voted no
Um,
also.
Great. Cool. So I guess just explain our reason real quick. I just think it seems like he has a really innovative thing that people need, that the industry as a whole needs, and with all the demand he's seen for it, especially from big investors, I think taking a 2 million buyout is just definitely not as ambitious as he could be. I think even within 3 to 5 years, he could probably be getting a lot more. Um, what do you guys think?
I agree with that. One thing I put in my write-up was that I think that Doug needs to kind of determine within like himself how much he thinks his idea is worth. Because after he sells out and he gives out all that money to his investors, and I don't know if at that point he would divide it with Shields or not, but if he did end up still splitting it with Shields because it said he considered him a co-founder, then he would only, I mean, he wouldn't even get $1 million out of the deal. He'd be left with like, I think it was like $600,000. And so, I mean, if that's all his idea is worth to him, then he might as well sell it. But I personally wouldn't because the calculations that like, if he goes through the third financing and it goes positive, it goes well for him. He could be, I mean, he could sell it after the third one and get 14 million and pocket all of it. And so I would definitely keep it.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought that he shouldn't sell it, so I kind of said no. But I guess it's a question that he has to ask of whether he still has a big passion for this. Because sometimes you get to a point of where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't have an interest in it. I don't have the desire to keep pushing forward. So if he's at that point of where he's just going to kind of passively participate in it, then it may be better for him to sell it. That would be a question that I would want to ask him, or if I was in his position, I'd want to ask myself whether in a year or 2 years, or even 6 months down the road, whether I can still see myself being actively participating in this, and also it kind of still have the excitement about it. Because if you're not going to have the excitement, you're not going to want to do it.
When from what I read from the case, I don't feel like I got the impression that he was getting sick of it or anything. Because I mean, the guy's an engineer. Like, there's a lot of engineers in my family that do IT and stuff, and a lot of these guys have that kind of personality where they can just work away at something. And this guy, I mean, he sounds like the kind of guy. He said himself that he's not like a people leader. He's not like a businessman. He's an engineer, like the thinker, the code guy.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was pretty into his project. So I'm not too worried about him getting burnt out on it. But I think even if he did get to that point, he could still sell later for, more money than what the turn offer is giving him.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, number 4. Start your discussion with those who say Doug should. Oh, if no one votes for that option, come up with reason. Okay, we already did that. Come up with reasons why he should take the offer, even if nobody thinks it's a good idea. I think the reasons are obvious. It's safe, like it's really safe. It gives you a bunch of immediate money right then and there, and honestly, it gives you enough money to be pretty well off. Like, I mean, you could invest that money into stuff. I mean, you could probably be safe for arguably the rest of your life if you spend it right. It's really just a question of do you want more later. But yeah, I think there's always a valid case for selling early, even if it's relatively a small amount of money compared to what you could get.
Yeah, I think the only real positive is it's fast cash.
Yeah.
Well, and if he has something else that he wants to move on to, that fast cash can make it. Or if he's stumbling personally and needs fast cash, then there's that option. I mean, I would say money is the first reason why I would do a buyout was, or, just to do it right now, even if there is the option to have more money, is just simply just to have the money and to move on to the next thing.
Well, yeah, and I think there's definitely a good argument for like fast cash. But again, I don't think he even needs it that much because he's getting a $120K salary just from doing it, which is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I would love to have that deposited in my account.
As someone who lives in Colorado, he could just move and be much more well off than he is.
Yeah.
Boulder. But yeah, so he's getting a good salary and his wife is okay with it. That was one of the biggest things, is that his wife supported the idea of sticking with it. So if your family's okay with it and you're like not desperately needing that cash, then I see no reason not to stick with it.
Yeah. If it's not costing him anything, and I mean not just necessarily, monetary value, but I'm talking, his family's still doing okay, his, mental and emotional health is still fine, all of that, then there isn't really a detriment to keeping it and staying with it.
Right. Okay, should we move on then?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, so 5, allow those who think he should take the offer to voice their opinions. Okay, we already did that. 6, how much money will Doug receive? As a group, realize that it is likely that nobody had a fully correct answer to this question. Here are some hints. Since half of the buyout offer is in cash, you need to treat it as cash sale and give the investors 2 times their investment in cash. Since half of the buyout offer is in preferred stock, you need to treat that portion of the buyout as stock and give investors 25% of the proceeds from the preferred shares. And C, Doug's payout is whatever is left over after paying back his investors with both the cash and stock. So I didn't have time to get to these parts where they were like doing calculations and stuff. Were you guys able to?
I didn't either, but I also, these things boggle my mind and just stress me out. So
I was able to do it, but I might have misunderstood it because I gave what did I do? I took 8% because it had an 8% something. I can't remember what it was. But basically, it was like I deleted it off my paper too, my Excel
It's
file.
8% like interest, right?
Yeah, it was like an 8% interest rate. And so I calculated that into that plus the 25% of the cash. And what I was left with, the founder's cut was about 1.2 million. But I don't know if he would have split that with Shields because he considered him a founder at some point in the case. And so I don't know if he wouldn't be splitting that with him, then he would get the 1.2 million. But if not, then he'd only get 512,000.
I think with the buyout is that he like that Shields wouldn't be getting it because at that point Shields wasn't on board yet.
Okay.
He was in negotiations, so I think Shields' cut would have come after they like bring him into the company. So I think if he was to sell out to Turn, then it would be his cut.
Okay, so
I might be wrong.
Get 1.2 million. That was
okay.
My calculation.
That seems reliable to me.
I would say that seems reliable to me too.
Okay. Money, but I don't know. I still wouldn't take it because I just feel like with the potential he has, that's nothing. Like that's pocket change compared to what he could be getting.
Yeah, and it's just if it was a different situation, maybe like if it was more risky or if the idea wasn't as sound or if he was more desperate, but like none of those things are really true. So I don't see any compelling reasons to take that over what he could be getting. Not to mention, it does mention in the study how if he were to sell to this company, this great idea that he had, because it sounds like he wasn't even necessarily doing this for money at the beginning. I mean, obviously that was a big motivator, but like he was perplexed by this problem. He wanted to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And by selling it to Turn, you give it to one company who then owns the idea exclusively. Whereas if he kept on his own, he could sell that idea to the whole industry, using his company.
Yeah, he didn't even want to start a company in the beginning. One of his friends was like, "You should turn it into a company." He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah. So, I mean, if you really do believe in your idea, it does make sense to keep building it instead of selling it right away, because then you just give it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Okay, well, let's move on then. So discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Want Doug to reject the Turn offer? Won't Washington get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more? How much does Washington give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of equity? Well, let's hit that first one first. How much does Shields deserve?
I put down that I think he deserves maybe 40%, but I wouldn't give him 50% of owner's equity.
Mm-hmm.
Or founder's equity, I guess.
I think that makes sense.
I agree.
I think maybe if he's in the company for a while, they could renegotiate later once he's been established. But I think at this point, Cosmin or whatever has created the idea and he's spent a significant amount of time and manpower building it already and financing it. I think it's fair for him to have just a slight majority of the cut. But since being a CEO is a huge deal and Cosmin clearly isn't a businessman, I don't think he deserves like 70 or 80. But yeah, I think 60-40 is a very fair split.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's not his idea. So that was my main reason. And he wasn't there, basically what you said, from the beginning of the financing. He missed the angel round and then he kind of came in after it was already going. That was my main reasoning behind it.
Well, it could even go lower than that. You could do a 70-30, since it seems like, 30% of the time he wasn't there.
Yeah, the only part that kind of makes me feel like he deserves quite a bit is a lot of those their Series A investors will only invest if he's their CEO of the deal. And so he's got to be good or they wouldn't put that as a requirement for their investment.
Yeah, he does have a value, so he should be compensated for his value, whether it's just his networking capabilities or whatever vision that he was able to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in the long term, he will be about as valuable as Cosman because every business does need a good leader. And again, take it from me, I know a lot of engineer computer guys, and some of them just aren't the type of guys that would run a company. And if this guy is the same, then you do need somebody strong who can do that. And I think he would definitely prove his worth and probably even be deserving of 50-50 in the long term. I think in the very beginning, though, when you're looking at it right now, when you look at the ratio of work that's been done by both parties, yeah, I think it's fair to start off at like 60-40. And then I don't know if they do that in business, if they like renegotiate terms like that later on. But, I mean, I don't know much, but
Like you can do anything you want in business. Like
I think that the terms are renegotiated at all point in time because there's people who get into it and then decide that I don't want to do this anymore, or they get a better opportunity and they want out. But there's a contract there, so they can just renegotiate the contract. I think it's anything is up.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to be like, because 40% upfront is pretty generous. And I think it'd be fair to say, look, I've done most of the work thus far. I'll give you 40% right now. And if you do show your value, then I will be glad to go to 50%, like in a year or two or whatever,
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah. Like that.
Okay. Moving on.
Mhm.
Why does Washing want Doug to reject the turn offer? Won't Washing get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more?
Well,
I think it's basically what we've just been talking about.
more money is more money.
Yeah. Well, especially for these guys.
Yeah.
They're investing. Like,
Yeah, like
like
get $1 million right now.
It's kind of a dumb question, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, isn't it? It's literally their job to get the most return on their
I don't even think
investments.
Washing hasn't even invested in them yet, has he? I thought he was waiting because they weren't ready for his firm to invest.
Maybe I might be getting my investors confused.
It mentions that, but then I don't know if he ended up later, but I don't know.
Washing was the guy that. There's so many names in these. Well, regardless of how much he had invested yet, I do think the answer is
It's
obvious. If you're a big investor, you want
yeah.
the most money. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say it's the same no matter what. However much you have invested, you want the company to grow and be worth more, not just sell and take your portion.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So I think Washing was one of the angel investors. Um, yeah, there you go. So Washing believed the company was at too early a stage for his venture firm, but he personally provided a portion of the angel investment.
Oh, okay. He personally did it. Okay. Makes sense.
Um, yeah, at least okay. It says he was personally interested in providing a portion of the angel investment. Then it says Cosman closed on a 300,000 round of angel funding from 3 investors. It actually doesn't explicitly say that Washing was one of them, but it's implied.
Didn't say it was like 100,000 each.
Yeah, we'll just assume that Washing was one of those 3 angel investors and that he put in 100 grand.
Okay.
In which case, it makes even more sense as to why he would want to wait, because if you invest that amount of money, you're getting a tiny cut of,
what could be a lot later.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't think we need to discuss that one much further. It's a pretty simple business question. Um, so the real question, how much does Washington give up? Okay. How much does Washington give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the equity? Oh, geez. We would need a cap table for this, wouldn't we?
Um, yeah, I have cap tables up, so it's fine. I can do it real fast. Those are we considering that they don't take the deal and it's like what percentage he's giving up? Is that what we're wanting to know?
Yeah, I think this is assuming they don't sell, and he gives the guy 50%. So we'd have to see how him giving 50 affects Washington's share, which I'm
Okay.
not sure what those numbers are.
1 second. I don't know if I did all my calculations correct.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure this equals 100. Oh, something's weird. Oh, oops. Sorry, 1 second. Turn. Are you doing it too?
I don't have the tables. I'm looking through the numbers right now in the study. My table's up at the moment, though.
It's not equaling 100. Oh, that's why. Oops. There. Okay. That should be correct. All right. Well, it really didn't affect the percentage of what the angel investors would get out of it. Because I mean
Go ahead.
if the founder has 50% of it and then the other, yeah, I don't, because I've got that there's like 15.9 million shares. And so I don't know if I am doing this right. I have that both founders will get 26% ownership in the company. And then your angel, oh, I have my Series A investor in here too. That might be why. But your 20 founders get 26, and then the angels each get 1.6% in the company. And then your Series A gets 42.5%.
Oh, wow.
So
Huh.
I could have done some math wrong on that, but I did it like I did my other one, so.
That seems like a lot. But I don't know. I'm not good at those types of things.
Well, either way, we do know that Washington was pushing for Shields. So it sounds like he's okay with whatever cut he's getting. Um,
Mhm.
let's. Yeah, so it talks about how the neighborhood, like Series A CEO, usually gets in the neighborhood of 10%. And then Shields came up and said he wanted 50. But it did say Washing's view was closer to Shields than to Cosman. So I'm guessing that Washing didn't expect to give 50% to Shields, but he was more okay with that than for paying less and getting someone who's not as good. That's what the case seems to imply.
Yeah, it's worth it to get a good CEO and have it succeed than to not.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think he gives up a pretty good amount of equity, but I think it's kind of okay if he's okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on then?
Yep.
Okay, it says, can Doug use the turn offer to his advantage if he rejects it? Um, I think yeah. If people are offering to buy your company, you can always leverage that to show that there's demand. I don't know how much he could change terms, but that's always a little bit of bargaining power that you have, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Like,
I can't. I mean, I think there's plenty of ways that he could do it. He could go back to the same. If he turns down this offer and he changes his mind in a couple months, he can go back to the same people and say he's willing to take the same offer. Or he could come back and say, "Look, I spent another 6 months building this. Here's my counter offer to your offer if it's still on the table." I mean, he could go to other people and say that here's the offer that I initially had, and that here's an offer that I came up with that kind of is an incentive but comparable to the previous offer. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's advantages.
he could put it down as the value of his company if he wanted to
Yeah.
do something like his company's been valued at $2 million before it's received its Series A financing. And so, I mean, he could say it's already valued at this and expect investors to at least meet or exceed that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a bunch of things he could do. He could go to other people, or he could reject it and then come back later with a counter offer that's more, or he could leverage it to he could say like, look, Shields, I was offered to buy this for 2 million. I'm really tempted to take that. I don't know if I want to give you 50 right now. If we settle on 60-40, I'll turn down this offer. Like he has that kind of bargaining power. Um, so yeah, I don't know what exactly you would do with it, but you always have more power
No, I think
when
what
you.
you brought up is a great point that he can go to the other people that are part of this that have, that hold some of the cards and say, look, here's the offer that we've been given. Do you want to take this? Here's what I would like out of it. And he can go, and say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a good point with that.
All right. Um, okay, it says click here to read the B case. As a group, vote. What is the B case?
It's like a page and a half case.
Oh man. Oh. Okay. It's just a few paragraphs. Should
I can
should
I
I
can
read
read
it?
it. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it out loud, or do you want to just quickly skim it? Or
Um, I don't care. I can just skim it real quick if you
Yeah.
guys are okay with that.
I haven't read it either, so I'm just skimming over it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just read it real quick. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
So let me go. Let me know when you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Okay. So that's interesting that they did settle with a 60-40.
Oh, they did? I didn't catch that. I really just skimmed over it.
Yeah, so it says in the beginning that he did turn down the deal and they did do it, but yeah, Shields agreed on a 40% split while Cosman held on to 60.
Nice.
And then Cosman sold back 20% of his common stock to get
Yeah.
cash.
So looks like we were right on the money. So yeah, so should Tom hire Barr? Just reading something again real quick.
Well, it says down here at the end that as Shields pulled up to the offices, he thought that the implications of hiring Barr against Cosman's wishes. He was comforted by Washington's support of Barr, as he knew that Cosman respected Washington's perspective. Nevertheless, he wondered how Cosman and Barr would interact as the two leaders in the Boulder office, and also how it would work when the 5 engineers that Cosman had hired began to report to Barr. Shields knew that this group would have to work closely together in the Boulder office while he jump-started the sales and marketing efforts in the company out in the Bay Area. Cosman had architected the Yieldex software, and Barr had needed the support to manage the team effectively. Shields respected Cosman's desires to keep looking at other candidates, but he needed to fill the position as soon as his focus.
I guess I have a few opinions on this. I think obviously the most ideal option is to agree on someone. I don't think it would hurt them that much to keep looking. But then you have the other two sides. You have the side of Cosman founded the company and he has 60% stake in it, whatever. He knows the tech. His opinion should be respected. But on the other hand, this is kind of what you hired Shields to do, right? Is to run the company.
Well, and also if Washington supports Barr, and he knows that Cosman respects Washington's perspective. If Washington and Barr can work together, then you kind of are like, okay, well, what's going to be the best for everybody, not necessarily just one person.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, but looking at it from the other perspective, like Barr will be working with Cosman at that other office. And if the two leaders can't get along and are butting heads, I think that would make it hard for everybody in the Boulder office.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's true. I do think if it's a sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say, and the 5 engineers, they already have their loyalties to Cosman. And so that could be hard for Bart. I don't know if it's really a big deal though, because if it's just that Cosman's not a huge fan of him but could still work with him, then you could still hire him and I'm sure they'd be fine. But if there's
well, and after they spend some time working together, their opinion of each other may change.
Yeah, but you don't know if it'll go up or down.
Yeah, that's true.
I do think that's a very good point though. If it's a day-to-day thing and they're always in the same office together while Shields, is off somewhere else, that is definitely a strong case to find somebody that is a better fit for Cosman. I think the ideal situation is they just find somebody that's more ideal, that knows the tech and can have some sort of leadership skill. But if you can't, if the question is they want to hire somebody right now, I don't think it's the end of the world if he hires Barr. It might be a better business decision since this guy knows business really well. But again, it might not bode well for the engineers. And so I don't know. It's a tough
I would
one.
keep looking. I would just see if you could agree on somebody, because I doubt that Barr is the only person out there that can do it all. I would just set a deadline and just say if we can't find anybody by this date, then we need to just hire Barr.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should. I think there's enough people out there to where they can keep looking. There's a lot of, and if they look for a while more and they still just can't find anybody, then sure, I say take on Barr. But if it's at the point right now, it's just I'm going to hire somebody against your will. I don't know. There's a lot of computer science people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
We do case C.
Okay, where's case C?
Oh, C. Oh my gosh, I thought you were joking.
No, there is case
It's a
C.
PowerPoint. It's like it's an email. If you want, I can just read it because it's really short.
Okay, just read it.
Okay.
It just says 6 months later, an email from John Barr, VP of Engineering, to Tom Shields, the CEO. Tom, Doug continues to be disruptive. His salary is $170K. He holds the title CTO, which I should have. His team wasn't functional and has been replaced. At the board meeting today, do the right thing for the company.
Nice.
Yeah.
So hiring Tom was a bad idea. Or wait, no. What was it?
John.
Yeah, that's what there's too many names. Can they just keep it down to 2 people?
What? Doug is Cosman, right?
Doug is Cosman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's the founder.
So there's Doug Cosman, there's Tom Shields, and then there's
John Barr.
John Barr.
Okay, yeah, so it looks like they brought on a business guy that is all about business, and it's implied that he didn't identify as much with the actual objective as much as they did making money. At least it seems like that's the side that it wants us to take, that hiring Barr was a bad idea. There's always 2 sides to every story, so who knows? Maybe.
I don't necessarily know if it was a bad idea. Hire him, though.
Right. Cosman's team did suck, but maybe they didn't, and John Barr was just really bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer any of those.
It's implying, though, that it was a bad turnout. It's saying, how could Doug have avoided getting into this situation?
Well, not hiring him in the first place. But then again, maybe... But then I look at it and I think that... I don't know. Maybe Cosman's the issue, even though it's his... anybody could be the problem. That's the thing. Even though if they have cards that are brought to the table that help benefit the company, but if you can't get along with everybody, then you're just a nuisance. You're not necessarily a benefit. If you're stunting growth because you're a butthead, then that's what you get.
Yeah, honestly, Cosman might have outgrown his usefulness, because if his idea is moving, I know you can get stuck on your idea and what you want it to be, and sometimes when a new idea that might be better than yours comes in, it can be hard to accept it. So honestly, Cosman may have outlived his usefulness. Not that he's getting kicked out of the company, because he'd still own the company, or 40 or 6, whatever he owns in it now.
He'll just become a silent partner.
So he still wouldn't, he's still a huge part of the company, but maybe he needs to not be working there anymore. Honestly, it happens, especially if his whole team has been replaced.
Yep.
So it says, do you want to change your minds about the buyout? I'm going to give my opinion real quick because my battery's about to die. So don't.
My battery's about to die also.
So my opinion is this. I still don't think he should have done the buyout. I think it was a good idea to invest in the company. I do think he should have been more aggressive at the beginning about giving away his equity, because he was told that CEOs would get a ballpark of 10%. And he went with a guy that wanted 50 and he ended up giving him 40. That's 4 times the amount of typical CEOs. He was taking a big risk when he did that, and it looks like he did give him a little too much power, and that kind of screwed him over at the end. It seems like he hired Shields because he really liked the guy after he met with him. I think he should have spent longer searching for a CEO that was maybe okay with a smaller cut of the company and would allow him to retain more equity and more just power. So that's my opinion.
I think that's a valid opinion. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with hiring Shields how they did. They were able to be very successful. It seems like at this point they're doing really well. I think that as far as Doug goes, maybe they shouldn't have hired not Doug. I don't know. They shouldn't have hired Barr.
Yeah.
Or if they hired Barr, I don't know. I feel like when you kind of, I don't know. I don't think they should have hired Barr. I think that was kind of done under Cosman, and his opinion was kind of just thrown to the wind. And being a founder, I think that's really a low blow.
I agree. It was a mutual decision.
All right, should we hurry and summarize this and call it quits?
Yeah, I've got to get in the car, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so for our summary through the case, we all agreed that he should not take the deal from Turn and that he should just keep going forward with it. By the time we got to the end of the case, we still believed he should have turned down Turn's deal. I feel like as far as case B goes, they should not have hired Tom Barr. The founder or Cosman should have had more of an opinion in that, and it was kind of low to go over his head to do that, even to know the CEO. He should have valued Cosman's opinion. By not taking the deal, they would all be able to get more of a return on the company as they let it grow and continue to progress in that way. Kind of summary. Do you guys want to add anything to it?
Nope, I think you covered it.
All right.
Okay, well, this was fun.